Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I must say that I'm delighted to be in Dublin again. It's very difficult for me to say no when, first of all, my ambassador last year approached me when he was coming to Dublin, that could I come here? I said, of course I come. We are former colleagues, and therefore, and when I knew that there was going to be a seminar which I attended yesterday and spoke there on the challenges in modern peace operations, and then I understood that my old friend Dahi O'Kelly had decided to leave the Foreign Service and start leading this organization. I definitely wanted to come and see him. I must say that I have always said that how much do individuals matter in the world. And I think, Dahi, you are one of the people who is a remarkable example of that. Your time in Finland is warmly remembered. You are regarded as a friend of my country. And if I would mention that now when I see my friends in Finland that I have met you, I think they would all speak highly of you. So thank you very much for allowing us. When I understood that we were supposed to discuss the topic of EU's foreign policy in post-Lisbon era, I immediately said that I want to have Leonard with me. We have been working with Mark in establishing the European Council on Foreign Relations for, I think, we started around 3 years ago. The first idea was, when I was approached, that I should chair a commission and we should produce a report, and I liked it as little as Mark did, because we would produce a report, even good report, but it would be shelved, nothing would happen, and nothing would change. We realized that we didn't have in Europe European Council on Foreign Relations because many of us had been acquainted with the American Council on Foreign Relations, and we have all been speaking there on different occasions, and we felt that Europe badly needed. The whole idea of establishing European Council on Foreign Relations was that we wanted EU to play a prominent role in the world politics. That was a driving force behind the whole enterprise. We have now been in existence since 7th, I checked this date with Mark, 7th of October 2007. We are 3 co-chairs. Joska Fischer is one, and I'm one, and I then proposed, because I realized that if I didn't intervene, we would have senior citizens running the European Council on Foreign Relations. So I proposed a lady who is much younger, at the age group of my son, who is slightly over 40, Mabel van Oranje, who used to be the director for advocacy for open society for Soros in London, and is now the executive director for the Elders Group, the Mandela Bishop Tutu group, where I was invited to join last year. And she's doing extremely well, and it's good to have somebody, one of us has to be in London to look after these people, and she luckily is there, so she has a lot of work. As I said, I was speaking yesterday, role of mediation and its links to the peace operations. I spoke very gladly about that because when I started my career and I ran the UN operation in Namibia, I was very much supported by Irish. I had Irish in my team, but particularly the whole police section on my operation, which became perhaps one of the most important elements in the whole supervision function, was run by Irish. And in the north, in Wambaland, which was the most complicated area, Again, I had an Irish police officer, Peter Fitzgerald, with whom I cooperated. I invited him to most of the operations that I had to get involved, whether we went to Baghdad or whether it was our attempt to go to Jenin. I always turned to Peter to come and help me. So there's a long tradition in this cooperation. And it is important. I have always argued that both Ireland and Finland, we are very good in peacekeeping, and we are now trying to enter the market of peacemaking and mediation exercise. I'm very pleased that the non-governmental organization which Crisis Management Initiative, which I'm still the chairman of the board, is this year 10 years old. And may I introduce my colleague, Tuija Tal. Here you are. Who is the executive director of CMI. I hope that this strategic partnership that I have now established with the Irish government and Irish society and organizations in the same way that I have established it with my own government will be fruitful, particularly when we are just establishing a program in Middle East. Tuija Talvitie just came back from Amman and Palestine, and perhaps towards somehow in this occasion also we can talk about that program later on. I read on my way here the report from the members of the reflection group to the European Council. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to look at the report. It came out over the weekend. But I thought before I let Mark loose, I would simply take a short paragraph from the report, which I find very sobering in its presentation. It may not have any dramatic new initiatives, but I think it's extremely useful that these sobering thoughts are being repeated by this respected group. And I quote a couple of paragraphs. Our findings are reassuring neither to the Union nor to our citizens. A global crisis, states coming to the rescue of banks, aging populations threatening the competitiveness of our economies and the sustainability of our social models, downward pressure on costs and wages, the challenges of climate change and increasing energy dependence, and the eastward shift in the global distribution of production and savings. And on top of this, the threats of terrorism, organized crime, and proliferation of weapons of mass destruction hang over us. Will the EU be able to maintain and increase its level of prosperity in the changing world? Will it be able to promote and defend Europe's values and interests? They ask. Their answer is positive. The EU can be an agent of change in the world, a trendsetter, and not just a passive witness. But this will only be possible if we work together. The challenges ahead are too large for any European country to address on their own. Our ability to influence developments beyond our borders will in turn depend on our capacity to secure solid growth and internal cohesion within the Union. This is the conclusion reached by our reflection group following intensive deliberations and consultations with numerous experts and institutions. All our members agree on one fundamental issue. Europe is currently at a turning point in its history. We will only overcome the challenges which lie ahead if all of us, politicians, citizens, employers, employees, are able to pull together with a new common purpose defined by the needs of the current age. Now, it's my pleasure to let Mark Leonard loose, and I'm eagerly waiting how Mark thinks that we can do this. Martti, you have the floor.